Good morning. I'm Corey Hamilton, the CFO here at Landis, and happy to be speaking to you here today. I'm going to read this morning from the book of Matthew, chapter 24, starting at verse 36. And it says, "But about the day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the day of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in those days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage up until the day that Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in a field, one will be taken and the other will be left. 2 women will be grinding with a handmill, one will be taken, one will be left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day the Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." And you probably recognize those verses, specifically speaking about the rapture of the church and Christ's return to earth. And I would agree with that interpretation, but I also think that there is more meaning to that than just the rapture itself. It reminds me of a song called "Someday Never Comes." Maybe you know the band. It's not a Christian band. But I want you to think about that in terms of the rapture of the church and not knowing the day in which God is going to call us to return to heaven or to be with him in heaven. We don't know the day when we will be called to be with him in heaven. Because I think oftentimes we get caught up in the idea of today or of someday, tomorrow, I'm going to do this or that, or go here or there. And for me, I think this is meaningful right now because it was 1 year ago today, or technically tomorrow, that I got a call from my mom saying that my dad had died. So I'm going to talk about that here for a few minutes because I think it was a miracle that my family and I just happened to visit my dad the day before he died. Now, understand that my dad was handicapped. He never really let it get the best of him, and he probably would have said that he wasn't handicapped at all. But when he was a 20-year-old guy working in a factory, he injured his leg, and basically for the rest of his life, his leg was bolted straight, his right leg. And if you want to understand what his life was like, walk around with your leg straight. Try to pick something up off the floor if you can't bend your knee. Try to put on your socks or your shoes. Try to get in and out of a car if you can't bend your right leg. If you want to do something really fun, try to get in and out of the passenger side if you can't bend your leg. Now, my dad was going to come visit us about a month before he passed away, and he wasn't able to come because he injured himself getting in and out of the car. He severely threw out his back and ended up having a fall later, bumped his head, and his back and his neck were really out of whack for about a month before he passed away. He was in quite a bit of pain, went to the chiropractor, went to the therapist, and really didn't have much relief. So it was on a Friday night. I was sitting beside my wife on the couch, and I remember thinking to myself, what would Lori do? Lori's my wife, and she's got a very kind and caring spirit. And I knew that Lori would go visit her mom or dad if she was in the same situation. So it was about a 2.5-hour trip one way. And so on Sunday, we went to see my dad. Now understand, it would have been easy for us to say, well, we'll go visit when he feels better, when we could take him out to dinner, do something. We couldn't go on Saturday, so it would have been easy to say, we don't want to miss church, so let's go the next weekend. But I felt compelled in my spirit to go, which was really a miracle from the Lord. And that Sunday was one of the best days I had had with my dad in a long time. Because he had been hurting so much, he hadn't cleaned his car, cleaned up around his chair, cleaned his bedroom. There was quite a mess, and my wife and I took to cleaning it up for him. My dad was a collector of antiques and various things that he would buy and resell, so we got a table and we set it up beside his chair and got these things out that he was pricing to take to the antique depot where he sold it all. And I just remember him being all smiles and saying to me that, boy, this was one of the best days he had had in a long time. He asked my brother to come visit as well, and I remember my dad saying to my brother, don't come without Jen, that's who's my brother's fiance, because he really liked Jen, and they came later that day because Jen works at the hospital, and had worked that morning. It was just a great day for everybody. My brother even said that after my dad died, he said, you know, it was weird, Corey. Dad called me on the way home and thanked me for coming. Not that my dad wasn't a thankful guy, but that was a little unusual because he saw my dad almost every day because they worked together. And obviously, little did I know that 16 hours after we left that Sunday evening, I would get a call from my mom that my dad had died. And it really was a miracle that I went to see him that day, because that day, even now, a year later, is so fresh in my spirit. Having my dad pass away the day after we went to visit him, having such a great day, was a blessing and a miracle from the Lord. So I guess the point of this, and in referencing the rapture, is to say to all of you today, we don't know how long our spouse is going to be with us, how long our kids are going to be around, our neighbors, our friends. So if there's something special you wanted to do with them, say to them, don't wait until tomorrow. I think Christ in those verses, while he may have been referencing the rapture, what he was really saying is to live for today. Don't say someday I will. Make someday today. And if you're someone that doesn't feel like your walk with the Lord is quite right, or you don't feel like maybe you've really accepted Jesus into your heart, don't wait for tomorrow. Talk to one of the pastors here at Landis. Talk to me. We'd be happy to talk with you about that and getting your heart right with the Lord. Now, I talk about community a lot at Landis when I do devotions, but I think one of the best ways in which we can have a great community, a Christian community here at Landis, is to make someday today in how we interact with each other. So I would encourage each one of you to go out of your way to do something for someone else that you were planning to do someday or tomorrow. Visit someone, say something kind, do an act of service to someone that's been on your heart for some time. Make someday today. We should go through life thinking that today is likely the last day that we have. What a difference we could make in the world if we did today what we had planned for tomorrow. I pray that each one of us would have a great day in fostering a spirit of community and serving each other.